So good to go. All right. Hey, everybody. This is Aaron here. And
hi, it's me,
Katrina.
I'm back.
With Build Ministries in Las Vegas. You can check out our website, buildministrieslv.com. See all the things that are going on. Check out our Facebook page, Build Ministries.
Yep.
All right. So it's all Build Ministries LV for Las Vegas right there. If you notice the background, we are in Indio, California. My mom, she turns up the place, so she brought us all out here. That's my son over there playing basketball on the basketball court with his cousin. So if you hear the banging of a rim, that's my son. You hear the birds in the background. You may hear music, may hear lawnmowers and stuff. It's just a resort area, cool resort. And so we're here celebrating with my mother. And you know, guess what? When you have a celebration, you have cake. And so she just loved this cake, so you had to get it. This is Queen Anne Lace buttercream cream cheese icing. And so it's a really good cake. So I mean,
is that the last piece?
Could be.
You saw it first. Just ate the last piece. Did you say would you like some? Did you offer? Yes, I will.
Okay, there it is.
This cake, it will start fights. That's how this cake is.
That's right.
I haven't eaten breakfast either.
And so yeah, so you know, I'm kind of late. Usually doing broadcasts on Sunday. It's Wednesday. Just with Sunday, everything that was going on, there was really no time to do the broadcast. Plus, we broadcast from our computer, and the computer wasn't home. So I really was technology naked. So I couldn't do the broadcast, and so didn't get a chance to get to it here until here. And even here, because it's a Wi-Fi thing, they do it so where you really can't get Wi-Fi or any stuff. You have to buy it.
Right.
You got to be in certain places to get it. So we were able to kind of get it. And so we're doing our broadcast now. It's Wednesday. And so we're going to continue going as we've been going, as I've been going. And you're going to be going to the Lazy River, right?
I was going, yeah, I was. Yes.
Wife was getting ready. So if she may leave us in a couple of minutes.
I may try to get through point one.
Okay, yeah. So she can just go float around in the Lazy River.
Yes.
Pool.
Nobody's
river,
in the
pool
Lazy
stuff.
River, so I'm trying to
Yeah,
get
and so it's been good. It's been a
and
good
we have
thing.
to check out soon. So if
I'm rushed,
yeah.
because checkout
is coming. The people are coming.
is at 12, and then we're going to go into Inglewood to see our cousin. She's in convalescent facility, so we're going to go see her before we get back to Las Vegas.
Yes.
So it's going to be an all-day thing, just driving and triple-digit heat out here, but it's good. It's great. It's a good thing. Yeah. So, and then for Katrina, she was doing a world tour. She wasn't with us Sunday. Her friend's son graduated from high school Sunday, so she drove out to Orange County to graduate with him, celebrate with him and his family. And so that's where she was. So now she's here with us today. So she's going to be with us as long as she can, so she can go hit the Lazy River and just float around. Just one more time. One more time. You know, I had a dream about like church choirs getting together.
Really?
And yeah, I'm going to leave it alone because I was...
Okay.
I could talk for it. All right, here we go. So today we are in Matthew, Sermon on the Mount, chapter 6, verses 25 to 34. And what's going to happen is I'm not going to really cover everything, but I'm going to pretty much get the bulk of it. And I'm going to have to do another part on the last 2 or 3 verses on this because I really didn't cover those, but there's a lot in that. But let me go through this and get into this thing.
Turn around. You're not Jay.
Hey, that's Mom down there. That's Mom. Hold on a second.
You're on the show. We're doing the show live.
There's Grammy right
You're
here.
on the show.
Right there. Hey.
You're on the show right now. We're doing the show.
Oh, waving.
Yeah,
that's
say
right.
Hi. It's her birthday.
Hi.
That's why we're here.
It's her birthday.
We got her cake.
That's her cake. Yeah.
So come on up. Oh, wait, you gonna throw it up? Well, look, Princeton's right there.
We're getting
Princeton and Jackson are right there.
We're getting toys returned.
Princeton. Excuse us.
Oh, Princeton is
Excuse
on the
us,
basketball
America.
court.
Princeton's right there. Princeton, get these from Grammy. Put them in your pocket. Excuse us.
You got
America.
one. All right, yeah. And so here we go. I mean, we can talk about that for a long time, but yeah, let me. Yeah. Hey.
There I am.
You know, I wanted to just get a shot of me on the balcony with the wall in the background. Katrina's like, no, you need to get the scenery and stuff. Got the lake, the pools and stuff. They were lawns earlier, so we had to wait. There was a lawn delay and everything. And so, yeah, that's Trent in the background on the door. But let me get into it here. So here we go. So 25:34, Matthew chapter 6, here's what it says. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? Behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? Which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto his stature? And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow, they toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Wherefore, if God so clothe the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe ye, O ye of little faith? Therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or wherewithal shall we be clothed? For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Those last couple of verses I'll probably cover next week, because of some things just packed up in there that you want to really get an understanding of. And so for today, I gave this a topic. I called this topic digging holes. And so when I'm talking about digging holes, you ever heard that statement about how you can dig a hole and that you can't get out of? And so how some people dig themselves in the holes of debt or other things. You know, some people just keep talking. The more they talk, the worse it gets for themselves.
Well, yeah.
And so this is all about, you know, people who dig holes, and they're digging holes because of the thing. And remember, the context is verses 19 to 34, that whole context. So in the past couple of weeks, when we covered about don't lay up treasures on earth, serving two masters, what winds up happening is that people get themselves into holes because they're trying to lay up for themselves treasures, getting those big rooms, trying to fill the big rooms, and basically they go into debt. And they dug themselves in a hole. And it's like they have to keep working to get themselves out of the hole that they dug themselves into, trying to keep up with the Joneses, keeping up with the Kardashians, whatever the case may be. They're just trying to have what they think they ought to have because the world says you need to have this. And so that's what people do. And so when we're looking at this in verses 25 to 34, this is the conclusion of the context. So when he said, therefore is the word of conclusion. It said, after everything I just said about, you know, how you deal with the stuff of this world, this is the conclusion. And he says, take no thought for your life. And when you talk about that word, take no thought, it can mean be anxious or worry. For example, in Philippians 4:6, when it says be careful for nothing, that's the same word, the same phrase that's here in verse 25. Take no thought. You be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known unto God. And so when things are going on in our lives, it's like we shouldn't worry so much, because when people get to a point where they're taking thought and worrying, they start making plans. And sometimes the plans that we work out don't work out because we're taking thought and worrying. And sometimes when we make plans to try to fix a situation, we wind up digging ourselves into a hole. It's kind of like people who take payday loans or something.
That is.
Yeah, and so it's like, yeah, because they're worrying, taking thought. You know, man, I gotta hurry up and get a car. No, you don't. Keep taking the bus. And so it's things like that, because there are car dealers right now who will give you a car, no money down. But people think that that's a blessing. No, because you're now in debt. Like say, I know a person who got a car, no money out of pocket, brand new, got in an accident. So now the car is in the shop. You're still making payments on a car that is now being repaired, brand new, not even a year old. Because you took thought about, I need to have something better than what I have. You have something better, but better comes with a, I'm not going to call it a better payment, but it's costing you more. I read an article that said that the average payment for a new car today is $523.
Woo!
Yeah, so for people who are buying cars, the bulk of them, not leasing, they're buying, they're paying over $500 a month to keep that car.
Crazy.
They probably had one that was paid off. And so it could be something like that.
Okay.
And so when he says, take no thought, he says, the conclusion is, don't concern or anxious or worried about your life, the things that you think you need. Because basically the things that you need are the things that you need to survive. Food, drink, clothing. And in this case, shelter too. But, you know, those things will be provided. You will have what you need. Don't worry about how you're going to get the next. And so I talked about how, you know, take our children. Our children are the best examples of people who really take thought. Because let's say, for example, you know, our kids, they're hungry and there's food in the house, but they don't want to eat the food that's in the house because it's not the food that they want. And so, you know, they'll come look in the refrigerator. The refrigerator is full of stuff. We got bread, we got meat, we got mayonnaise, mustard, pickles. They don't want to make a sandwich. They want something that's cooked or prepared.
Because it's assembly required. Some assembly required.
That's right. You know, say like Trenton, you know, oh, he wants chicken nuggets. Just chicken. No chicken nuggets. Or can I have some French fries? So you want something that's prepared. Well, he's 5. You know, but say our other children, same thing. It's like, look, they will sit around hungry because they have to make it themselves.
That is so sad.
Take no thought. It's already there. Eat it because you're not really hungry. So he says, take no thought. In other words, you know, remember the story of Martha, Mary and Martha when Jesus was there? In Luke chapter 10, verses 40 and 42, 40 to 42, we see this discourse. Here's what it says. But Martha was cumbered about much serving and came to him and said, Lord, dost thou not care that my sister hath left me to serve alone? Bid her therefore that she help me. In that verse, you see that same phrase, taking thought. She was cumbered about. In other words, you know, she's taking thought. And so here's what Jesus said. And Jesus answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things. In other words, you're taking thought about all this stuff you have to do. But what does he say? Verse 42, but one thing is needful, and Mary has chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her. In other words, you're being very concerned. You're taking thought about all the stuff you have to do, and it's bothering you that people aren't pitching in to help you, because to you, this is the most important thing. But he says, your sister is doing something better. So Jesus is saying this, don't worry about the mess. Don't worry about the mess. Jesus has something better that'll help you to clean up that mess.
Okay.
Moving right along. All right, and so that is just some context to help you understand about what it is to take thought and worry. Worry about stuff that, I mean, come on, is it really that significant that it needs to be dealt with right there in that moment? Take thought for it. Be anxious, be careful, don't worry. Are you going to have it? Because there's a couple more pieces stored up in the bag somewhere.
Worry about this cake.
All right. And so when we're talking about being anxious, he says there are 3 areas that people are worried is about what they're going to eat, what they're going to drink, and what they're going to wear. I remember he's given this sermon on the Mount in the context of there are people who are governing you in the religious system who are giving you this impression that you need to have this or be this way.
Right.
And so what happens is because the leaders and teachers are saying that we need to be this way or have this stuff, we then all of a sudden take thought and worry because we don't have it yet. So we're doing our best to try to get it. Because if the pastor is flying around everywhere, driving the best, having the best, and saying that I can get it too, I'm worried and concerned and anxious because I don't have it yet. So I'm going to keep going back so I can figure out what is it that I haven't done quite yet to get what the pastor said I should have because he has it.
Right.
And so that's what the condition was in Matthew. Like you got the Pharisees who are walking around like they are it. And so everybody else is like, because I'm not it like the Pharisees, I'm not even one of their disciples, I don't have it. So I got to stay out here in the hood and just, think that it's not going to work for me. But while it's not working, I'm concerned and anxious that it's not working. So he's saying, look, don't even worry about that. That is not important, because before he said, don't worry, he said, don't try to store up these treasures, because that's all that they're all about, the stuff. Don't be about the stuff. So when you're not about the stuff, guess what? You're not going to worry about stuff. And so one thing we need to understand is this, what he's saying is this: when we don't worry and we're only focused where we need to focus because we realize that it's taken care of, we're not going to be anxious. And here's one thing that results, because last couple of Sundays we talked about flip-flopping and having divided loyalties. And so when we flip-flop, because we all do, sometimes we're content and other times we're not content because we don't have something. And so our loyalties get divided about you can't serve God and mammon. What happens is when we flip from serving God into serving mammon, that's when we start to worry that we don't have. And so we begin to worry and take thought. All of a sudden we're serving mammon because we want to get the stuff we think we need, so that we can be settled and then start serving God again. So God is saying, I see you watching the sun down there.
I know.
Is he going to make that
worrying?
Because you keep hearing it.
Worrying. He's worrying about the time.
Don't sweat the time. Check us at 12. It's 10:20.
Oh, I read the clock.
Oh, that's right. So that's what it's all about. Sometimes we flip-flop because we worry that we don't have. And here's the thing. If we all of a sudden flip over into serving mammon because we're worried, there's going to be another residual result of that, and that's covetousness. Because all of a sudden I don't have it, so now I'm worried that I don't have it. I'm going to look at everybody who does have it. I'm going to covet what they want. Yeah, and so let's look at a couple of things in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. Here's what it says. This is me flipping the Bible right here. Hebrews, James, 1st, 2nd Peter, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, Jude, to Revelation. Hebrews 13:5 says, let your conversation be without covetousness, or live a life without coveting. And be content with such things as ye have, for he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. So be satisfied with what you have. If you don't have what they say you ought to have, be content with the stuff that you do have, and don't begin to covet what somebody else has. Because if you covet what they have, you begin to ask these questions. Why can't I have that? When am I going to get mine? Why she got to have it? I'm better than her, or something like that, And so that's what covetous does. It raises up these conditions in us that should not be, where the envy and strife comes from, the jealousies and stuff. That's what covetous does. That comes from worry. But if we're content and we're serving God, we're not worried and serving mammon.
That's good.
And being covetous. Luke chapter 12. Now, Luke chapter 12 has the same context as Matthew, but it goes a little deeper because it gives some background insight into this context we're in Matthew. Luke chapter 12, verses 13 to 22. I'm going to read 13 to 15 first. Here's what it says. And one of the company said unto him, Master, speak to my brother that he divide the inheritance with me. And he said unto him, Man, who made me a judge or a divider over you? Verse 15. And he said unto them, Take heed and beware of covetousness. So this is one brother who's like, the other brother has all the stuff. He's in control of it. Can you tell him to give me my stuff?
Right.
I want my stuff now. He's the executor of the estate, and he's holding on to tell him to give me my stuff now. And so he said, beware of covetousness. For a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesses. In other words, some people's like, my stuff defines me. Jesus is saying, watch out for that. Because when your stuff gets old, you're going to have to redefine yourself. Remember cross colors?
Yes, I do.
People define themselves based on their outfitting, but when the stuff changed, all of a sudden, I have to redefine myself because that's no longer relevant. What was it, one brand called Enos or Enice or something like that?
I didn't even know that one.
Esprit is spirit. I don't even know if Guess is a big thing anymore.
Guess still in the mall.
They're still, okay, well, but people are always redefining themselves because I have to have what's current relevant, or in other words, I'm beginning to covet. So like, doing them Birkin Coach bags and all that stuff like that, people do that because of covetousness. That's what Jesus is saying. And the rest of the context in verses 16 to 22, which is the same thing that Jesus is saying in Matthew, but it gives a background. Remember the parable of the rich man who had this great harvest and he wanted to build bigger barns? That's 16 to 21. And he says, I'm going to tear down my barns and build bigger barns. And he said, I'm going to eat, drink, and be merry and be satisfied. And then God says, thou fool, your spirit shall be required of you today. And so that's 16 to 21. And then in verse 22, we have the same thing. Therefore, I say unto you, take no thought for your life. And so we get a different look into the context that Jesus is saying. You got people out there who are getting all this stuff, but that's not where it is. So don't worry about your life. This man had it all, but he was taken from it all. So he's telling us, don't worry about don't be concerned, take no thought. He talks about the birds and the grass, how they're fed and they're clothed, and they don't even worry about it. They just get up like the birds around here. The ducks walk around here, and they're just picking that stuff on the ground. But I guess they're fed because they're fat.
They're huge. And
it says, don't feed them. I don't see people feeding the animals, but somehow eat. God takes care of them. And so that is just one thing we need to understand about taking no thought, being careful, and making sure we're in a place where we can only serve God and not mammon. Because when we begin to serve mammon, we're concerned, taking thought, and we're worried, and we covet. That's what it's all about. All right. And so moving on, he goes on and says this. We'll go back to Matthew. And he says in verse 27, which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto his stature? And so a cubit is a measure of length, but in this case, it's not necessarily saying how can you make yourself taller. Another way, or a lot of the translators look at this, is how can you add 1 hour or 1 set and beyond our control. We can't fix those things. This is how can you worry yourself into living or being taller? Here's one thing I thought of right here. There's a lot of commercials out there about all these pills that men can take to boost their enhancement. And so what is worrying going to do for your enhancement? I think that just went over your head.
No.
Oh, you got it? Okay, yeah, testosterone boosters and stuff like that. And so, people worry about certain things. And so because they worry, they covet, and all of a sudden they'll begin to do things to try to fix that area of their life. But how can worrying change things that are already fixed? It's not going to. So it says, be content with what you have, the things that you need. The Father knows it, and he's going to provide those things for you. What you're going to drink, what you're going to eat, what you're going to wear. It might not be what you want, but it's what you need. And so here's one thing, and I'll probably end with this prayer about a prayer against covetousness so that we can really be settled. But looking at, we talked about how Solomon, even in all of his wealth and grandeur, wasn't clothed like the lilies of the field. And Solomon was a man, that man had it all, so to say. And so I'm going to pretty much go through some things that Solomon discovered in the book of Ecclesiastes, and then I'll kind of wrap it up right there. So in Ecclesiastes, here are some things that Solomon discovered in chapter 1, 2, and 4. Says these things called a vexation of spirit. And another context is called chasing after the wind. And so Solomon basically said a lot of things that people are doing is like chasing after the wind. You're chasing after something that you really can't hold on to, because he said basically the end of everyone's death. We're all going to die. So what's the point of acquiring all these things when we're going to die and leave it to somebody else who did not work to earn it? So in the New Testament, there's a lot saying about just be content in a state where you are. You might not get all the stuff that the other people have. Be content with what you have, because your God has provided you everything that you need. The rich people in Ecclesiastes 5 and 6, it says that people are rich because God allows it to be so. But there are people who are striving after the wind, or they're vexing their spirit, trying to get this stuff. In Ecclesiastes 1, verses 14, verses 17, chapter 2, verses 11, verses 17, chapter 4, verses 4 and 6, he says the same thing. And all of this stuff that I've seen and even attempted, I've discovered that it's simply a vexing of the spirit. You're simply just chasing after the wind. And it's like, because you're chasing after the wind, it's like it troubles yourself because you're never satisfied. And then he concludes these things and he says, this is basically the bottom line of life. When you go to Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 24, 5, verse 18, and 8, verse 16, he basically says the same thing. This is what it's all about. He says there is nothing better for a man than that he should eat and drink, and that he should make his soul enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw, that it was from the hand of God. Look, if you're working, enjoy whatever you get from your work. God has made it so. He allows you to eat. He allows you to drink. He allows you to be clothed. Maybe not what you want to eat. Maybe not what you want to drink. Maybe not what you want to wear, but it is what you need. Be satisfied with that, because when you begin to worry that you don't have, you begin to serve mammon. I got to get a better job so I can get a better house, better car, etc., etc. Better man, better woman, whatever the case. And then you become covetous, because until I get it, I'm looking at you and why you got it. And I'm asking these questions. And so I'm going to end it with this prayer that David did in Psalms 119. These few verses is a good prayer to kind of help us keep ourselves fixed and right, so that we learn not to worry or take thought for things that are already provided for us. Like, for example, we're here at this resort in Indio, and there are people who probably want to do something like this, but they can't. We're just blessed and fortunate to have someone in the family who is a timeshare. We don't own a timeshare, but someone in our family is an owner. So she used her ownership privileges to help us get this place at a discount. And so it's just those kind of things. But there are people who want to do something like this. You may never have a chance to do something. Be okay with what you're able to do, because in heaven, guess what? Heaven is just one big old all-inclusive resort, and that's for eternity. And that's what I was thinking of as I was waking up this morning. It's like, man, you know what? Heaven is really all-inclusive. Everything, the food, drinks, clothing. They might even have swimming pools and stuff. I'm not too sure, but it's all right there. And so in Psalms 119, verses 33 to 36, here is a good prayer that is given. It says, teach me, O Lord, the way of thy statutes, and I shall keep it unto the end. Give me understanding, and I shall keep thy law. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole heart. Make me to go in the path of thy commandments, for therein do I delight. Incline my heart unto thy testimonies, and not to covetousness. And that's it. So let's be careful that we're not digging holes because we're worried about the state wherein we are and we don't have it. We begin to covet. And because we covet, we all of a sudden make those decisions that we wouldn't make if we were right, godly mind. So in the last few minutes we have here, what's on your agenda?
Oh, to go to the lazy pool.
Oh, so yeah. Thank you for sitting here with me. Didn't hear much from her, but we'll be back. You know, we're just relaxing and got to hit the road and drive for like 7-8 hours. So we'll be back with you. And I know you got to get there.
Yeah.
All right. So,
all right. So bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for listening. All right. And now it's time to pack. Yeah.